Hello. Okay, hopefully this will work. This is my first time ever doing a live stream on my mobile phone. Usually I do like a cooler setup, that always goes wrong, so this time I'm just like, right, screw it, I'm gonna do it on the phone and see how it works. I see there's already someone there. Hi, Ethan. So yeah, I just thought, as per usual on this channel, I will open a box that I received a while ago, answer questions if anyone wants to ask any. I'm also going to try and figure out if I can post this on Twitter, because I said I might do a live stream, and then I don't know, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not, but in the end I have done. There's a share button. I'm going to see what happens. Hopefully, yep, right, cool. So yeah, I've not posted any videos in ages, and that is mostly because I've been writing my thesis, and unsurprisingly that takes a lot of time, and I'm in the final 50 days or so, so I've just put my mind to it and wanted to do as much as possible. But I don't know, I just kind of missed it and I fancied doing something. I received this box in the mail, which I think I know what it is, but I'm not entirely sure, so I figured I'd open it, and if it's something boring or something, I don't know, that I picked that actually isn't interesting, I still have the December Curiosity box to open. Hi, Bernie, Chubby Emu, good to see you there. Hi, Nigel. Oh, where am I? This is the seminar room in my offices. I was almost about to do the live stream from home, but in the end I decided to go into work where it's a little bit quieter because it's 8 p.m. No, it's 9:15 right now and not many people are at work. And I'm meant to be doing a bit more work. I went to a friend's seminar. I know I shouldn't be working this late, and I was actually ill with flu last week, so I probably shouldn't be overworking myself, but I really have quite a lot to do. But I figured that this would be a fun break. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, so, you know, why not? And yeah, this is the seminar room, just because I think there's actually no one at all in the office, but it's an open plan office. I'm quite shy. If I can't tell who is around, I find that I just tend to speak really low. But in here, I know there's no one around, so I can be loud to my heart's content. So I'm going to open this box. You're very welcome to ask questions in the chat, because actually it displays the comments on the side, which is really helpful, and I can actually read them. So this can be just like a chatty live stream, or just I will open this box that I really want to know what's inside. And because I'm by my work, if anyone is so interested in finding out how certain algorithms work, or has questions about my PhD, now might be the right time to ask them. So yeah, so I just figured I'd have a nice relaxed live stream. To those of you who are watching right now, out of curiosity, whereabouts are you watching from? Is it your evening right now? Ooh. Okay, right. So I opened this, it looks very bright. I think I know what this is. America, hi, Thoughtful Face. Okay, this is really cool. I probably can't do too much with it. So I don't know if any of you watched the last video that I made on Draw Curiosity, which was the Scientist's Holiday Gift Guide, and I talked about the board game Evolution, which I think is really cool because it's actually pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate, and quite a few people actually bought the Evolution game from it. And someone was really nice and posted on Twitter like, oh, I just ordered the Evolution game thanks to Inés Dawson. And the people who made the game then reached out to me and they said, hey, we'd like to send you the expansions, because there's a climate expansion that I can see right here. And there's, I believe, a flight one as well. So they said to me that they would send it if I gave them my address. I wasn't sure if this was going to happen because I know they're sending it from America, and basically if anything comes from outside of the EU, there is a problem with customs. And, you know, it's a cool game, but I would rather not pay customs because I could buy it locally. So I said to them, if you're able to get it to me without me having any custom fees, I'll be very glad glad to receive it and talk about it and maybe make a video, because it is genuinely a really interesting game, and I have thought it would probably make quite a good video if I find some people who actually want to play it with me and also be on camera, because usually you get lots of geeky biologists or geeky people who love playing the game but don't necessarily want to be on YouTube, which is absolutely fair enough. So they have indeed sent it to me, and it is very colourful. I love it. I feel it, well, I don't know whether it's the best idea to open it right now, just because I get the feeling it's full of lots of little bits. I am well and truly alone right now, and I feel this is a group player game, and I don't have the original expansion here with me. But you can admire that it is pretty sizable and also very colourful. So I imagine probably once I finish my PhD, I will probably make a video about it. It is really, really pretty. Ooh, and these look like they might be the... Oh no, I'm ruining everything. I'm prodding it and bits are coming out. Anyway, I thought there was a high chance this might be the Evolution game, which I'm alone because I'm a PhD hermit right now, and the people I see often, my partner and my friends, they don't really like to be on YouTube. So for time being, I'll put that to a side, but here is classically late, the Curiosity Box, and it's the December edition, so if you have the Curiosity Box, you've probably already opened it, so I'm not spoiling anything. And if you don't have the Curiosity Box and you enjoy watching people unbox stuff online, then you've come to the right place. And I've also come prepared with some scissors, so there's no awkward fumbling around. And one of you, I think it was you actually, Nigel, who figured out which number box it was, and this is the 6th box, so Curiosity Box number 6. Also, quick question. On my side, obviously, I actually can see myself, which is actually very distracting because instead of looking at the camera, I'm looking at myself to make sure I'm properly framed, and that probably makes it look like I'm not looking at you and just vainly looking at myself. But is this the right way around, or is it a mirror image? I'd be curious to know. That might make a difference based on whatever I show you. But anyway, here is the Curiosity Box. It did say on the front of it, right way, awesome. That is great. I'm not going to look at this because I feel like that's a spoiler, even though this is a spoiler to all of you. Hi, John. Good to see you here as well. There's the magazine. The magazine is also always a spoiler, so I'm going to skip that as well. Right. Dinosaur skeleton. This actually, well, I don't know who's drawn this, but it reminds me a lot of Stated Clearly and Jordan Culver. I'm pretty sure it's probably not them. I'd like to think they would have told me if they had drawn something for the Curiosity Box, but I feel like this is exactly their kind of drawing that they would really like. And this is probably the t-shirt, because every single Curiosity Box comes with a t-shirt. And it is. I'm, so good at guessing stuff. I probably can't put it on right now because I'm wearing a dress. There was a friend of mine was giving a seminar today. If you follow me on Twitter, you might remember some time ago I said I was giving a lecture supper on the research I do. The next one happened today, and a friend of mine who works on chemistry was talking about how surfaces can be made hydrophobic, so to repel water, and how you can then, I guess, engineer them so that they protect people from chemical warfare like sarin and other mustard gas, VX. It was a really interesting lecture. Probably can't say too much. It is a very cool t-shirt, I know. I can't wear it right now, but I will first admire it myself because I've not actually seen it. So it is a T-Rex with something around its neck. Does anyone know what it's wearing around its neck? Why is it leashed? It also appears to be in pain. I don't know why. And it's riding an asteroid. Maybe they were predicting Elon Musk. Hello, IL Nightmare. I hope everything is well over in Peru. So yeah, it's a very cool t-shirt. It's definitely I hope that's not the meteorite that extinguished. I don't know what the verb is right now. I'm too tired. That got rid of the mosquitoes, but it is a very rad t-shirt. So if I muster the strength to take a picture wearing it, then I will take one and maybe revive Instagram, because nowadays there's so many social media platforms and I just don't have time for all of them. Ooh, the next thing. Okay, this looks so cool, and I can't show it because it involves a smartphone, and that means choosing between that and this. And this, what? This, not me. So this is a hologram generator. So it looks like it's a plastic thing that you put on top of your phone, and I think I know how these work. I've seen these YouTube videos where there's 4 images at 90-degree rotations around them, and when you put this on top, it creates a hologram-like image. This actually makes me quite sad because I was thinking I might bring my webcam out to the office and set it up on my work computer, on which it would run very, very well, and the internet would probably be a lot better than this Wi-Fi. But as I just mentioned, I'm a little bit shy about doing it in an open plan office, even though hopefully not many people will be working at 9:30. So I'm instead doing it on there, and I can't show you, but I can show you what it looks like. And again, maybe if it works out well, I'll somehow, I take most pictures with my phone now, so I don't know how I'm going to take this picture with my camera, I guess. Anyway, it looks cool. I actually maybe I won't open it. So yes, so far you have seen a t-shirt, which I have not tried on, and a hologram, which I can't try out because the device that I would use it on is currently in use. But let's move on. Okay, I like this. So this is Boltron, the robot who can green science. I've seen something similar to this before. It's sort of the one I've seen is, it uses a recycled can, and it's green science as in it recycles stuff. And the ones I've seen, you can actually make different options with it. And on the basis of this, the fact that it's got this, and this makes me think that you can probably build different things. I don't know how long this would take to make, and if I need anything special to make it with. Actually, I probably need the can. I was going to say we could make it together on the live stream, but I don't have... This is such a sucky live stream. I don't have a can, and I actually don't like fizzy drinks. But I know people who do like fizzy drinks, and they can drink one for me without having to appear on stream. So maybe we'll make this in a future live stream. Next up, the book. So again, with every box there's a lot of goodies, but the constants are there's always the t-shirt and there's always the book. And this is the science book, Big Ideas Simply Explained, and it's a Curiosity Box official selection. And who is it written by? Oh, it has a price tag on the back. I'm definitely getting my money's worth in this box. Vsauce, Michael, Kevin and Jake here. In your hands is an exciting and curious book. The science book goes through history from 600 before Christ to the present, exploring biology, botany, chemistry, physics and more. Maybe, okay, so it looks like it might have been written by Vsauce, or the Vsauces. And it does end at the end of the little synopsis saying, and as always, thanks for reading. So that definitely sounds like it might have been made by them. Aha, here we go. Contributors. Oh, it might not have been written by them. Adam Hart Davis, John Farden, that Royal Society, that vaguely rings a bell. Okay, so there's some people who very vaguely ring a bell. There's a very... I actually quite like the design of the book. I can't comment on what's inside because I've not read it yet. But basically, the beginning of science. So it seems like a general history of science with lots of very bright block colours. And it seems to go year by year. And I'm wondering if there will be anything interesting. Well, all of it will be interesting, but something that we can feature here. One of the snakes grabbed its own tail, August Kekulé. And there's something on chemistry here, which is kind of interesting because I just came from a chemistry lecture. There's Gregor Mendel, the definitively expressed average proportion of 3:1. That's, if you ask me, that's not what I would call a very quotable quote, but sure, okay. So this seems to be the story of genetics and Mendel's peas, which, can I say, Mendel was incredibly lucky to discover, I guess you could say, very basic genetics with peas, because most genetic traits aren't quite as simple as the alleles of peas. Hugo de Vries. I was going to say, is this an old photo of Mendel, or is it someone else who did his work afterwards? Anyway, it does look like a nifty little book. I actually think it, for myself, it will definitely be quite interesting to read, because, as you might have guessed from my Draw Curiosity channel, I quite like things that are very highly specific, and it means that sometimes it can be quite interesting. It can be easy for me to lose track of the big picture, or not pay as much attention to the broader story. I really like highly specific things and like small stories that no one else knows about. So this book will probably make me think about those things a bit more. Because when I do, I find that I do enjoy it. I find that most of the big science channels, I would actually say, probably focus on those bigger picture stories that are more generally interesting to people. What I'm also curious about is whether they will have anything on the biology of flight as a flight PhD student. I'm curious if they will have anything on either insect flight or the first aeroplane. Insect flight might be a bit too specific for this book. So I'm going to see if they've got an index. Yes, they do, like most books. F for flight. Do we have anything on flight here? We have something on fluids and Folger Timothy, but no flight. Maybe they will have the Wright brothers? The answer is no. Will they have anything on insects? Will they have anything on anything I feel I can speak about? Yes, they do have stuff on insects. Okay. There are 3 pages on insects. Let's just go to page 104. There we go. The mystery of nature in the structure and fertilization of flowers. This is, I'm gonna guess beforehand, this might be about co-evolution, or how plants, angiosperms, flowering plants, came to pair themselves with different insects that specialize in pollinizing them. In the mid-18th century, Swedish botanist Carl Linnaeus, here's a fun and completely random fact. When I was 15, so almost 10 years ago, our school that I used to go to, because it was I won't say secular school, it was a school that did not have any religious practices. So during Christmas, instead of doing a nativity scene like every other school did, we would actually turn the school into another country for 3 days, and then all of the different departments of the subjects would come up with different activities and plays to talk about different things, and then everyone in the school would either be taking part in one of the departments, or they would be looking at what all the other departments had made. And I remember that when I was 15, which I can't remember what year I was in, I skipped a grade at school, so I think it was actually the year that I skipped a grade. I don't remember, but I was with the biology group that year, and it was Scandinavia, and I remember that I dressed up as Carl Linnaeus, and we made this little skit of a play where I was dressed up as Linnaeus, and we had this little puppet with a Venus flytrap. I don't remember quite how much of this was artistic license, because I quite liked taking a lot of that when I was younger, and how much is actual fact, but we had this story about teethed plants, how they were convergent evolution with animals, and how it was very important to come up with Latin names for everything. I feel like this was probably one of the things that I came up with as a 15-year-old, as opposed to it being an actual story, but I have good memories from that play. Anyway, after that small derailing, in the mid-18th century, Swedish botanist Carl Linnaeus realised that flower parts parallel the reproductive organs of animals. I guess so, yeah. 40 years later, Christian Sprengel figured out how insects played a major role in pollination. So yes, it's talking about mutual benefit. So it seems like it's going on towards collaboration. So in 1787, Sprengel noticed insects visiting open flowers to feed on the nectar inside. He began to wonder whether the nectar was being advertised by the petal's special colour and pattern, and deduced that the insects were being enticed onto the flowers so that pollen from the stamen, the male part, of one flower stuck to the insect and was carried to the pistil, the female part of another one. They also discovered that some flowering plants lack colour or scent, and they rely on wind and abiotic factors to aid pollination. He also noted that most flowers contain both male and female parts, and that in these the parts mature at different times to prevent self-fertilisation, although quite a few plants do actually engage in self-fertilisation. So here's the following sentence. True of all scientists. Published in 1793, Sprengel's work was largely underappreciated during his lifetime. No one cared about flowers and insects being linked together. However, it was finally given due credit when Charles Darwin used it as a springboard for his own studies on the coevolution, I told you it was going to be out, coevolution, of flowering plants and particular species of insects that pollinate them and ensure cross-fertilisation to their benefit. And then there's a picture of a honeybee landing on a flower saying, a honeybee lands on the sexual parts displayed at the centre of these brightly coloured petals. Honeybees account for 80% of all insect pollination and pollinate a third of all food crops. So I will say it's a good book. Well, I will say it's a good book. But as I just said, I quite like highly specific books. And for me, this would be like the first paragraph of here's an introduction to a subject, but we're not going to go much more into detail because after that point it ends and it moves on to another story. So yeah, I feel like it's basically a very brief history of science. It probably serves to give you a taste to different things that people have done throughout the history of science. And I guess if anyone wants to find out more, then they would actually go to Google or an encyclopedia and read more about it. So I'm going to leave this book here for now and move on to the next bit. I am actually really craving one. I really want to make this, but I don't know how I can. Okay, next up is The Sticker by Chris Rignac, which is the artist spotlight. And I think it's not a sticker, I think it's a tattoo. Yeah, this is a tattoo. It looks like a mutant pizza tui. I don't know, what do you think it is? What would you name this tattoo? I don't think it's got a name. It doesn't even say what it is. So I feel we should vote on a name for it. It's kind of blue. It's got little hairy bits there. I don't know if you can see. Is it focusing? No, it's not focusing. So this phone, I've noticed, is not very good at close-up focusing. The previous one I had was really good at macro stuff. Anyway, I really don't know what it is. I feel like being blue is probably bad. I feel like pizza should not be blue. So unless someone comes up with a better name, I'm going to call it Doraemon, like the cosmic cat that is blue. So you may go ahead and vote. And in the meantime, I will have a look onwards. There's a Steam game, so yes. So the constants in the curiosity box, there's always like a badge, a pin, a tattoo or a sticker. There's the t-shirt, there's the book, and there is the Steam game, which I should probably actually get a Steam account rather than just borrowing other people's Steam account at this point. And this one is called Volvox. I'll read the synopsis in a sec, but Volvox is, I believe, a type of fungi that you could say is somewhat between the unicellular and the multicellular stage. So they're, I want to say, are they fungi or algae? I'm a biologist, I should know this. But they're not insects, so I don't know. Anyway, Volvox, they tend to come together and then different ones specialise. So there's some that are specialised in reproduction, some that are specialised in food, and it's considered that intermediate stage between unicellular and multicellular. I believe they can fend for themselves on their own. I may be wrong though, so if there's someone who knows more about Volvox in the chat, now's your time to speak up. So, Volvox the game is, the Trimebas are unicellular animals that populate the primordial soup and move by rolling. Their dream is to build the first multicellular creatures. To succeed in creating order from chaos, they will have to dig tunnels, build towers, and construct bridges, having no tools but their triangular bodies and their special abilities. I don't remember Volvox being triangular, but that actually sounds quite interesting. Okay, I don't think... I'm guessing... I don't see any code, so hopefully you're not going to steal my game. I'm guessing those are the characters there. $10 balance, that's pretty cool. I feel like maybe I should have done this on OBS, and then I could have created a Steam account, and then we could have played this and actually tried it out. Moving on, there are two more things in here. So, the next one. Curious Creatures, collectible enamel pin. Yes, it is on the back of the card. I was just making sure I wouldn't show the card and then someone else takes the code before I get to try it out. Right, Charles Lindbergh. As the first all-beef patty to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, Charles Lindbergh was truly a rare to medium-rare aviator. He took off from Long Island to New York in his airplane, the Spirit of St. Lettuce, that's a great name, when he landed his buns in Paris, France, after the... his buns in Paris after the 33.5-hour flight. He was grilled by reporters, amazed by a job well done. You could say Lucky Lindy's sizzling flight left the rest of the world trying to catch up, but that might be cheesy. Okay. Da-da-da. Oh god. I think you've all seen the pun, but the pin pun, I haven't. Now you can see what it is. Well, you've already seen it, but I've just seen it, and I have now learnt that the reaction is to groan. After 7 years in England, I have realised that you don't laugh at puns, you have to groan at them. Okay. Right. And on to the last thing in this box, which is kind of shiny. It's got some embossing in it. And I have no idea what it is, so let's open it up. And this will be the one that's gonna be awkward. Are you gonna open up? I guess not. Please bear with me, we have technical difficulties. Ah, there we go. There are no longer technical difficulties. Oh, maybe there are. This is wrapped. So, ooh. Oh, okay, so my preliminary guess is this is going to be a puzzle box of some sort, but it is wrapped in foil. So now that we've conquered the big box and little box, now we've got all the plastic to get through. But I have something called scissors, so I can cheat, because we're not gonna sit around waiting for me to try and funnel my way through plastic. Move that out of frame. So, there we go. So, there is a box, and I don't know if you can tell, if you see the light, there's a little thing there. So my guess is this is some kind of puzzle box. And this seems to move that way. So let's try and figure out how to open this. This doesn't move. This does. I'll find it funny if this is not a puzzle box and I'm just messing around. Right, I'm going to take my rings off, which I think I've talked about these before. If you follow me on Snapchat, another social media that I've not been using in ages, once upon a time I talked about these rings. They are not wedding rings, they are fidget rings or worry rings or spinner rings, and they have these little grooves that you can spin around, and I just quite like the feeling of having some pressure around my fingers, and they're very easy and discreet to fiddle with, and I'm someone who likes to fiddle a lot. And with a thesis deadline impending, as you may imagine, I am stressed most of the time, so those rings have actually made quite a difference to my day. Right, okay, what's the best way to try and open this whilst also showing you, whilst also seeing myself what I'm doing, and hopefully appearing clever, because I'm not really getting very far with this. I can tell that the thing here, this second layer, is supposed to move. This moves quite a way around. Please bear with me, guys. Does this top bit move? Nope. Or maybe it does. It almost feels like a game of Jenga, where you're trying to figure out which is the bit that you can pull out. This might be the best occasion to ask me questions, because this is going to take a while. Or I will read the magazine and cheat, but I think that would be a bit boring. Ta-da. Yeah, I actually have no clue how to open this, because I'm a bit worried I'm going to break it, even though I'm literally putting in the force of a pansy, because I'm worried about destroying the box accidentally. So yeah, I have no clue how to open this. In the meantime, what else can I tell you, because this is the very last thing in my box. I actually don't know who watches this channel, because it's kind of a random second channel that I think I only post about on Twitter. Most people who find the channel don't find it through any of my science content, which I feel is, well, it's the work I'm most proud of. But most people have found this channel through random videos on, I don't know, food in America that I tried, and how to look after your long hair. So yeah, oh no, the dreaded question. Ethan asked me, so how is the thesis going? Well, it's not going, I suppose it's not going well because I'm not writing it right now. I'll tell you a bit about my thesis in a bit, actually. I'm actually feeling in quite a chatty mood, so I might tell you a bit more about it. I feel, Hostwords Hervine, I don't even remember how I found this channel. I think most people find this channel through very varied sources, and I don't know exactly who watches this channel or who has arrived at this live stream. But for those of you who don't know, I'm a PhD student, I make science videos, and this is basically where I post anything that doesn't really fit anywhere else. And one of the reasons I've not been posting in ages is because, as Ethan has said, I am writing up my thesis, which basically sucks out all of my energy and soul, and I don't really have time to edit videos, which is why a live stream is fine, because a live stream literally takes the amount of time that it takes to do it, and then it will just upload itself. I have written one chapter in its entirety that's completely done and dusted, and I'm quite proud of that. And then there were two that I really want to have done by the end of February, and I think if I apply myself and I do a lot of work every day, I'll probably hit that goal. And there's 2 chapters left that I need to write. One's going to be really easy to write because it's just a follow-on from the first 2, and the last one I am not looking forward to at all, because I'm going to tell you a bit more about my thesis. I'm working on insect flight. Now, the thing with insect flight, the rant is about to start, I'm sorry, is, first of all, I love insects. I think they're very interesting. I love my thesis topic, but it's engineering disguised as biology, which is cool, but I have a biological background, so it's fine. It's weird because our group is basically 50% engineers, 50% biologists, and everyone has a lot of imposter syndrome. All of the biologists feel they don't understand the maths, or they don't, there's lots of stuff that it just takes ages to understand. But the engineers report something similar as well, where they're less acquainted with, biological mechanisms behind flight or the insects that we're working on. So, there's some sides that I'm stronger on, others that I'm less strong on. My thesis topic is on kinematics. Kinematics basically means motion, so how they're moving. I'm looking at how they move their bodies and how they move their wings, and how that translates into what they're doing in the air. But the last chapter is aerodynamics, which, I'm sorry, but aerodynamics is horrible. I've been trying very hard to avoid doing any aerodynamics work throughout the entirety of my thesis, and despite that I've not managed to evade it. My supervisor wants me to do a chapter on it, and I've done the work for it, but I need to write it up, and because I'm not an engineer, then I've got all the graphs, but I find that explaining it is harder because I don't have that engineering background, and you know, I feel like a lot of the discussion and interpreting bits, I can give it a very good biological angle, but I can't give it the engineering one. And I sense that people are leaving. That is a good response to aerodynamics. I would also leave a stream that's only about aerodynamics. So yeah, the thesis, well, I would say it's going all right. Ask me in a month when I will have less than a month to go, and then maybe things will be a bit scarier if I'm not as far along as I hope. But I'd say overall, it's a bit tight, but I'm the kind of person who likes working to a deadline. I'm very good at, but when I have the deadline and the end is in sight, and all of a sudden I turn into, well, is this still working? Is this Eddie Rome's way of telling me, shut up about your thesis? Should I switch to data? Okay, the warning seems to have gone off. I still haven't figured out how to open this box, by the way. So maybe I'll just have a little look at what this thing says. I also want to know whether there's a name for the pizza sticker. There's no name for the pizza sticker. There's a hologram generator. Curiosity puzzle box. Solving this box will take patience and care. Well, I've not displayed much patience or much care in this live stream, so that's maybe why. Its curious secret protects what's in there. There is something in the box. Okay, we have to open this. We have to figure out how to get in here. So, I wonder if there is... So I didn't come particularly prepared to this live stream. I just brought my phone because I thought it'd be fun to figure out how this works. I'm going to show you the setup that you are on. So you are literally on a book, on insect flight, propped up on top of the Bible of statistics that actually makes sense, a book on aerodynamics. Oh god, this book. And these were 2 books that were just going for free. This book is actually quite funny. I feel I've talked about this book before. I've had plenty of rants about this book, but I find it very funny because everyone, I mean, there's a thing about stats, that stats is generally quite boring, and people who write about stats, they're not boring people, but their writing is boring. And this is a book called Generalized Additive Models that takes 160 pages, i.e. 4 chapters, till it gets to what even is a generalized additive model. I'm sorry, I'm making you dizzy. Anyway, that's where you're at, and there's some unopened post of my bank statements and how little income is coming in right now because I'm an unfunded PhD student. Anyway, so I don't even know what the point of that was, but we're going to try and figure out this box before this gets to an hour. I feel I've done a lot of chatting. I don't know. I don't think this is like Instagram where you can like send an invite and someone else comes in and talks for a while. But if you ask questions, like some of you asked before, then I can try and answer them and not just make confused trying to open box noises. Which is going to be me right now. Okay. I can actually hear this. There is something inside the box, so I'm very motivated now to try and figure out how to open it. This doesn't move, but no, it doesn't move. Try turning it the other way up. If you need a hint, you can ask. Oh, see, do you know how to open this box? Try turning it the other way up. Okay. I feel like I'm just doing the same thing over and over. Ooh. Nope. Everything wiggles a little bit. But again, I don't know if this is just me about to break the box or not. Right. Okay. Right. Does that move? Does it rotate? No. This rotates, but it doesn't move. Maybe... Does it depend on how long round it goes? I don't know how to open it. I think the other thing is I want to make sure you can actually see the box, because me just like fiddling like this isn't particularly exciting. So as I do this, it clearly moves, but I don't know if it's supposed to or not. I just want to open it. Right. Pressure the second red part down. This bit or this bit? Where's the comments gone? Come back, comments. Where are they? Oh, there we go. They've come back. Back one. So this one. Pressure the second red part down and pull. How many people does it take to open a box? It really does feel like trying to pull out a Jenga box, a Jenga block, and I would probably be about to lose. Right. I do wonder if it's like a lock thing and the exact orientation it's in depends on how it opens. The angle is not right. Oh. Okay. I wonder whether... Part of me wants to cheat just so I'm not spending ages trying to open it. Does it have to open all the way? It wiggles, but it's not the way it's supposed to wiggle. You want me to reveal the way? Oh, I don't know if I want you to reveal the way. If you know the way, give me a hint. I feel like if I'm told the answer, it's cheating too much. But I will say if you ask me questions, or I would say I would tell you about my day, but I feel I've told you about my day. My day has just been comprised entirely of writing. My life is not particularly interesting right now. But I do feel I want to give you a more interesting live stream than me struggling with a box. But I would like to solve this box whilst here. I'll feel a bit sad if I don't get there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. So I've been told the angle is not right. Hint is around 50 degrees. Okay. Right. So if this is 0, that would be 90. That I guess would be around 50? Are we talking from 0? Nigel asks, why have you stopped dyeing your hair? Nigel, I promise you, I'm going to dye my hair when I finish my PhD. But it just takes so long to dye. Well, I'll talk about that because that's a bit more interesting, and then I'll try the box again. So, in case you didn't know, which you probably do, tripping over my own hair. I have very long hair. I started growing it when I moved to university. I came with hair this length, and now it is kind of long. I washed it today, and I haven't actually brushed it out properly, so it's not at its nicest. But it takes a very long time to dye. I use Directions hair dye. It's one of these cruelty-free vegan hair dyes that doesn't contain ammonia or bleach, so you can just leave it on for as long as you want, and they come in very funky colours. So when I dye my hair, the process goes a bit like I wash my hair, then I can only use shampoo, so it has to be very well detangled beforehand, because what actually detangles my hair is using conditioner. And then I get 2 pots of hair dye, and I put them all over the hair. As you can imagine, everything gets covered in hair dye. I use 2 pots. They're around 80 milliliters each, which might sound surprising. I get lots of people saying, for hair this length, like, oh, I use 2 pots of dye, and I have quite thicker hair than average, and that's despite thinning it out by creating a fringe and like side pieces. But my trick is that I first of all, I just spend ages. So 1 pot of hair dye, basically. I start from the bottom, and then I put the hair dye about halfway, and then the rest I put on my scalp, and then down. And I try and prioritize what's called, I don't think that's the name for it, but I call it the T-zone, where it's like this area here, so that the fringe is well covered, and then the places where I usually have a parting. So if I get a patchy dye job, then at least all of my hair that most people see will be dyed. And then I spend ages just kind of trying to massage it in. By this point, my hands, my face, my body is all covered in pink or red hair dye. And then I try and wrap it up in saran wrap, which doesn't really work because it's just a bit too long, but I'll wrap like the bottom and the top, and I'll do this kind of weird turban thing on my head. And then usually, kind of embarrassed to say this, but I will use a Tesco bag to put all of the hair in, because there are actually, well, I used to have a, a shower cap that would fit all of my hair in, that I got in Ecuador, and I used it so much that it ended up falling apart. So only a bag now will do the job of actually containing all of my hair. And then I'll wrap it in a towel, and then I'll go to sleep in it. I don't know how I'm able to sleep with wet hair that's incredibly heavy and also very uncomfortable in a plastic bag, but I'll sleep. And then the next day when I wake up, then I wash it all out. Then I hair dry it before it turns anything else pink. I have to be very careful with what clothes I wear, because if you sweat a minimum amount, or if you haven't dried your hair properly, the hair dye will actually transfer onto your clothes and it will turn pink, and it doesn't come out. So it will come out of your hair eventually, but there is still some remnants of hair dye. You can pretty much see where I've stopped dyeing it. So that's mostly the reason why I haven't done it. I do really like the hair dye. I admit I do feel like my hair is a bit more boring, or not quite as bright in this wonderful grey weather of Britain. But no one is actually seeing the hair because I'm just at a computer all the time. It takes a long time to do. I feel like I kind of have to prepare myself mentally to, right, today's going to be the day where I'm going to spend this 12-hour block not seeing anyone so I can actually dye my hair and wash it and dry it. So I think once I'm done, I'll probably do it. I admit I do quite like to try and have my hair dyed for when I'm recording videos, because I feel it tends to look quite good. I realise that's a very vain reason, but I feel, if I'm going to do it, at least I hope someone gets to see it. So probably when I have a few scripts prepared for when I finish, I'll probably dye my hair and feel happier about it. But you can see the natural hair colour minus the sun. Oh, and you say T-zone is on your face. I think you're right. I think isn't it like there and there? I don't quite know what it means. Is it the area that tends to get greasier? I don't know. I see very well no ticks. And then you can't mention ticks because that will make them come. Anyway, I'm going to try and do the box again. I doubt there's going to be a big difference in my performance with this box after a tangent. The tangent I've just gone on. Okay, right. 0 degrees, I've been told 50 degrees, so 90, 50. I feel, like Indiana Jones escape box. Maybe it's a different 50 degrees? It wasn't 50 from closed position. Okay. I wonder if it's 50 degrees from your perspective. Could it be like that? Okay. Or we could do it the unlocking with a stethoscope way and just try every possible angle. Down. So it's not this one, maybe that one? This bit is quite wiggly, so I hope we're on the right track. It does make a noise. Ethan, give me more clues. Nope. Ow. stuck in. One of the downsides of I'm actually probably going to regret having my hair down. Just opening the stream, is it not holding it upside down? I don't know. I do not know how. I've never had a puzzle box, but we are opening this box together, so I'm going to try what you're saying. 50 degrees down. This is the other problem. Which way, which piece is meant to move around? Gravity affects it. Okay. Right. Thank you for the hints. So when you say down, is it this down, this down, this down now? Right. This is just gonna be, 5 minutes of me wiggling this in different directions. The first one, this way down. Okay. And then 50 degrees, I'm presuming this one. I don't know. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, pull, pull, wiggle. Nope. More pulling and wiggling. I'm glad you find it funny. Wiggle, pull. I feel there are probably faster ways of opening this box. Too high. I've looked around and it's upside down. Is this not upside down? As in, I don't know. Do I need a quaternion to solve this problem? Wiggle, wiggle. Okay, this definitely feels more jammed than it was before, so I think you might have been... The short triangular piece seems to move. Red, thick, side down. Oh, so this is the right way up. Okay. The short... Oh no, don't go away, comments. No! My cheat sheet is going. The short triangular piece seems to move... Ooh! Ooh! Oh, oh, oh! Guys, something's happening here. The Indiana Jones tomb is opening. Well, it's not quite... Oh, oh! Look! Are you ready for this box? I don't think you are. I'm not. It's very slowly opening. No, I have not. Oh! There we go. Thank you. Da-da-da! And what is the prize? It is a perpetual calendar keychain. And actually that's pretty cool because I can update my keys. Thank you very much for helping me open this. I'm not well, I'd like to think I would have got there eventually. Maybe if not by brute force. So here we go. The final item of this thing is a... Oh, I forgot. This doesn't focus. If I tap the screen, will it focus? It's a perpetual calendar. Well, it's actually not perpetual. It specifies it works for 50 years. So it's only perpetual if I die at the age of 50. No, not at the age of 50. How does it work? How do I... This is the next puzzle, figuring out how this works. So it's got sun and moon on the side. I don't think that has much to do with the calendar, just saying. There's the months of the year, place year, over month. Oh, right, I get it now. So I think the idea is, I hope you can see this, because again, the phone is not very good at close-ups. So there's years here, and then as you move them around, that's going to be interesting to figure out how to do the moving around. But in theory, you put the year over the month you're in, and then underneath there's the days of the week, and it aligns them in quite a clever way. So what year are we in? 2018. And 2018 is... no, it's... Where is 2018, actually? Right. Bear with me, guys. You know that in 50 years you'll be in your 70s, right? That is true, but I was guessing this might start in 2010-ish. I don't know. I don't actually know. Well, I can see 2014 here, so it certainly doesn't begin in 2018. I can see 2013, And, oh, wait a second, could it be, how do you turn, oh, duh. The bit that you turn around is the actual full face. I thought this might turn around, or you could move the bit at the back. Of course it would be, you know, Murphy's Law, the very last thing you try is the one that works. So let's move this around. If I can find 2018, I can find 2019. There's an empty year, 2011. Aha, there we go, 2018, and popped it over February and August. So there we go. I have managed to make one thing work from this box. I don't have my keys with me. There, my keys are at my desk. I was going to say I should attach this to my keychain. Do I have any interesting things on my keychain? Oh, I won't put this back in the box because I probably won't find my way back into it. I feel like, aha. So there we go, there's this thing here. And you can see there is the gap where it goes in. So it swivels round. Oh, I'm actually curious. Before closing it, can I post an image of it? Yeah, go for it. I'm wondering whether turning this around is going to change the length of this thing. The answer is no. Does it? I'm just trying to figure out now just how this works before putting it back together. I'm trying to, does this actually change the length of this stick somehow? Nope. Oh, I don't know what I've done here, but it looks wrong. I might not be able to close this box now. Oh, there we go, down and closed, and nothing ever happened. There we go, that's everything. And yeah, and we've almost been going for an hour, which actually, is that a record for live streams here? You can't, oh, you might be able to post it on Twitter. I get the feeling you can't post images in live streams. I have wondered sometimes about maybe trying other live streaming platforms like Periscope, Twitch, apparently other platforms are slightly better at live streaming, but also most people know me from YouTube, so it makes more sense to use YouTube. I'm probably going to start putting my stuff back. I'm sort of in two minds, like I'm still in a kind of chatty mood. Hi Willem! So part of me is like, maybe I will show you my untidy desk and some algorithms, but also that sounds like the perfect recipe for everyone to go away. So for now, I'm gonna put everything away, and then I'll decide what we do next. I keep meaning to want to try the hologram thing. Unfortunately, to anyone joining now, this might well be close, if not the end of the live stream. Where did the box for this go? It's here. Actually, that's the other thing. So in the first year's boxes, all of the boxes you could actually pop together. I'm wondering whether this is going to build a whole dinosaur or not. But yeah, I might take you for a little bit to my desk. I did see someone come in before, so if they're kind of within earshot, I'm a bit shy. And I feel a bit silly live streaming around other people. Ooh, loud noises. But I could try. Thing is, I find algorithms very interesting until they're not, because they're very frustrating when they don't do exactly what I want them to. And I recently started working with a new one. Where did the other box of these go? I don't know how I manage this. I've not moved at all, and I've managed to misplace one of the things that I had with me. This only happens to me. I don't know. this came in that pretty black box, and I don't know where it's gone, so oh well. I guess that is the new puzzle for today. Oh no, it's here, but it's black, so it's hiding inside the box. Anyway, yeah, so to go back to the wonderfully boring subject of my PhD, one thing I'm doing right now is, so the chapter I've written is me using clustering algorithms to show that those clustering algorithms don't work in the specific thing that I'm trying out. And I really enjoyed working with algorithms because it's, you know, like very basic machine learning and stuff like that. And, you know, anything that gets me close to that area, I quite enjoy coding and programming and trying out new things. So it's the perfect excuse to learn how to do these things. But it doesn't work for my data, so that kind of ruins it a little bit. So after writing a whole chapter about how these algorithms are good for nothing and don't work for what I'm trying to do, in this other chapter, I've now actually found an application for them, although it is a different algorithm. The first one I was using is one called k-means clustering, and I worked with a few variations of it for anyone who has heard of it. But basically, for those of you who don't know what it is, which is fair enough, it is what's known as an unsupervised algorithm. So basically you just give it a data set and you say, I want you to find 5 or 6 or whatever number of clusters in it, and it will sort of examine the distances between the different points, and it will I could explain how it works, but I feel that would be quite boring. But basically it figures out the optimal way of placing different clusters that separate the data up. And that doesn't work. But now I'm working with one that is I want to call it a supervised learning algorithm, but it's not really a learning algorithm. It's the k-nearest neighbor, which basically, if you have a data set, I don't want to say what it is I'm working on, because first of all, it would require explaining, but also I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I don't know, let's say we have lots of t-shirts and trousers and dresses, and you know, you've got the dimensions, lengths, etc., and you want to guess what type of item of clothing it is or what shop it came from. Then with your training data set, you would have, you know, say I go into my wardrobe and I take out the clothes I've got and I say, this is a dress, that's a t-shirt, these are some trousers, this is some underwear. And then I put all of that into the algorithm. And then when someone else, say, gives me a big sack of clothes, not that that happens, but someone gives me a sack of clothes and I can't be bothered to figure out what type they are, or for whatever reason I can't categorize them, then by using that trained data set that they have, so say they know, like, I don't know, the length of it and the width of it, and maybe some details about the colours and the patterning, then they can use all of those features together to predict when you've got another set of data. They will look at the data points that are closest to it in this weird n-dimensional space of colours and lengths and different features of clothing, and it will say, well, most of the points that are around this one are t-shirts, so this is probably a t-shirt. And that's how that algorithm works, and that's what I'm trying to do for one of my data sets. To maybe get slightly more specific, I'm just trying to categorise. With certain experiments, you can tether a blowfly or tether a fly that you're looking at and figure out a lot more about it than if it's flying freely. But I'm trying to use that data that other people have collected on tethered flies to apply to my free-flying flies that have more natural-like behaviours, and trying to see if I can figure out what they're doing. I see there's a talk of robot overlords, of which I approve. Anyway, that is what I am working on right now, and I'm trying to optimize this model. I keep wanting to say a supervised learning machine algorithm, but it doesn't really learn, it's just a model built on distances. I feel like saying it's learning is giving it a bit more cachet than it deserves. So yeah, I'm trying to optimize it because, say I want to know what features of these clothes matter the most to be the most efficient model to determine clothes. Perhaps the size of the label doesn't matter. Perhaps if it has a zip or not does or doesn't matter. So I'm trying to find out which of these parameters that you would put in are most informative for this classification, and also to actually try and generate a classification that's good enough, which is actually proving trickier than I expected because I'm not quite comparing like with like, but I've mostly got around that. So yeah, I've been going for an hour and I should probably either sleep or, well, actually it's probably too early for bedtime right now in England, so I should probably do some more writing. So, and people are talking about robot overlords, don't worry, even though everything I do could technically be applied to insect drones and Black Mirror could be a reality, I think we're quite far away. I'll leave you with one last anecdote before finally getting off my butt and actually going to do work, because this is more fun. Someone sent me an article the other day, which is like, pollinating drone bees are upon us. It was quite a funny article. Self-pollinating drone bees aren't upon us, but basically, they sort of promoted it with with this image from Black Mirror of the robo bees. I don't know if you've seen that episode or not. Spoiler alert for the next 30 seconds. So there's this episode of Black Mirror where someone's designed robotic bees that are, self-organizing. They live in hives. They're very well centralized and controlled by the company that created them. And they're there to pick up the slack from those poor bees that have been wiped out by pesticides, until, of course, someone manages to hack into them and apply some kind of social media dystopian world where, anyone who uses a hashtag or creates a Twitter mob against someone, then a bee will find out where they are. They'll use the visual algorithms of the bee to find them and track them, and they just kind of bury into their brain, which is not very pleasant. I don't know why I'm saying this with a smile on my face. It's really not pleasant at all. And they annihilate them, and obviously because they're small and no one quite knows how they're doing this, it's very scary. So yeah, but these robo bees that have come out in the news are nothing like that. I actually find it hilarious what they've done. It's not really a drone paper at all. It's got nothing to do with flight aerodynamics. It's more chemistry and materials. So I think what they've done is they found a material that just happens to attract pollen very well, and they can use it. They can stick it on a normal quadcopter, very much like the one in that video I made for the holiday gift guide. They're tiny like that. The researchers said they spent $100 on that drone. I was thinking, why would you spend $100 when you can buy them for 10? Maybe they got a more sophisticated one, perhaps one with a small camera. So they stick this on the bottom and they just basically headbutted a drone into a poor flower and said, this is the first instance of a drone pollinating a flower. So I think it was intended as a joke. And the point was they'd created this material that was especially adherent to pollen or whatever it was that they were working with. So yeah, on that note, I think I'm going to end this live stream and actually go back to the thesis and being a hermit and solitary. So I'm going to say thank you to all of you who have watched this live stream with me, and you've helped me figure out how to open the box and have kept me company. I really appreciate it, and I've had a good time. Hope you have as well. I wish your thesis goes well. It's nice to see an informal stream. Hope you do this from time to time. Thank you so much. I hope I get to do this more too. I find I think the new curiosity box is on its way, so I can do another one when that arrives and I'm in a chatty mood. And hopefully once I'm done, I'm really hoping that when I've handed in my thesis, I will look less run down and I will be a generally happier person. But yeah, I'm going to head off now. Thank you very much for joining in today. And I hope you have a lovely night, evening, rest of day, or whatever it is that's ahead for you. Bye.